Hi, you guys. I am Dr. Lorene. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. God has me in the book of Samuel, you guys. So I am in 1 Samuel 8. And as I was reading, it just reminds me how God will give us some type of feeling in our hearts when we're praying for something. And we know that it goes against God's will. But we think sometimes that we know more than God, but God knows the beginning to the end, you guys. And sometimes God isn't answering certain prayers because he knows that it's going to harm you. He knows that you deserve more. He knows that the prayers are going to delay your life. He knows that it's going to redirect you into a place that you don't need to be. So God is like, trust me. So this reminds me, so I'm reading 1 Samuel 8, and Israel asks for a king. And at that time, you guys, Israel, they were being so disobedient to God. They weren't listening to God, so God gave them chance after a chance. And Samuel was like, Lord, they're asking for a king. And God already was the ruler over them. He was the king of all kings, you guys. But they wanted a valuable human to be a king. They said, if we have a king here, then we're going to be great because we have a king. We don't have a king. Not realizing that Jesus is the king of all kings. But they feel like they knew what they needed more than what God already provided for them, you guys. Does that sound like you? Because that sounded like me in the past, to where I would overrule what God wants for me for the things that I thought I needed, right? So in 1 Samuel 8:6-7, you guys, it says, Samuel considered their demand wrong. He knew that asking for a king was wrong and it went against God's will, you guys. And he did the right thing, talking about it to the Lord. So he talked about it to the Lord, and he said, you know what? So the Lord said to Samuel, we'll grant them their wish. Even though God was like, you know what? They would do better without a king. You don't need a human to be your king when you have Jesus, right? But sometimes, you guys, when we're praying for something, we get it because we keep praying for it. So God's like, you know what? I'm going to take my hands off of this, and I'm going to show you why this is wrong. So God grants them their wish to have a king, you guys. But first, God asked Samuel to warn the people about the negative effects of having a king. They're going to take their land. They're going to take their women. They're going to do all types of things for their benefit. God is trying to warn them. But God will sometimes answer you just so you can see why God didn't answer you the first time, right? So that's why it's so important that you are careful about what you're praying for, right? So it says in 1 Samuel 8:19, it says, sadly, Israel's people refused to listen to Samuel, meaning they refused to listen to the Lord. And in the end, the people got their abstinent way as God granted their desire. And the people's thoughts were focused on the idea that a king would be preferable to being judged by Samuel's crooked sons. And besides, the right king could be the military leader and hero. Everybody wanted to lead the nation into battle. So in spite of warnings about the heavy personal taxation burdens their kings will inflict on them, the people went home in anticipation. So they went home in anticipation, and God granted them their king, you guys. And then in 1 Samuel, and then in the next book, you guys, it talks about the fall and the rise of Saul. Saul becomes the king. And sometimes, you guys, it's just basically showing that sometimes we'll go against God's wishes, not realizing that God's will is the best will and the only will. And we have to count it all joy, even if we're not getting the things that we think that we need in the moment. We have to count it all joy because God is the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and he's the end. So whatever that he's not giving us in this season, it could be because we're not ready for it. It could be because there's some things inside of us, you guys, that he's working out before he puts you in position. There's some things inside of us that we have to change, you guys, before he grants us our wish. Or maybe it's a no because he knows that there's better out there for you. So my message today is, if you're praying to God and sometimes he does not answer you, just understand that the no answer is an answer. That sometimes we don't need what we think we're praying for. I hope this message has helped. Have a blessed day.